This episode of the podcast is being recorded on Wednesday, September 18th, 2019. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? I hope all of you are doing swell. Welcome to Have Fun on the Indys. I'm your host, Abe, and you can catch me on Facebook. You can catch me on Twitter. You can catch me on Instagram. All you have to do is use the handle @HaveFunOTI. That's @HaveFunOTI. There, you'll find all of our links to our podcast hosts, from YouTube to Vimeo to SoundCloud, where you can sit down with a nice cup of coffee, a cold drink, a hot beverage, or a nice beer and listen to my nice melodic voice. God. Or my nice phlegmy voice. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me today. I live in the Valley of California, and all this freaking dust in the air from all the fields being cultivated is killing me, ladies and gentlemen. But none of that matters, because today we are here to talk about mixed martial arts, boxing, professional wrestling, and how my gambling habit with these things has gone down the toilet. So for now, we're going to start things off with mixed martial arts. And here's something that I was actually quite happy about. A little angry at first, and then quite happy about. Dana White comes out and says, "We are no longer in the Chris Cyborg business." I had a whole rant. I'm going to snap on it. But I cut it. I mean, the waters are so muddy. Dana White says that it's impossible to work with Chris Cyborg, that Chris Cyborg is very hard to deal with. Chris Cyborg says that Dana White is the one that's hard to deal with, is the one that's always lying. And then you go online and you hear that, hell, I think I might have heard Joe Rogan say this on his podcast, that it might not have been either Cyborg or Dana White who's at blame for this, that it could actually be Chris Cyborg's management team. I hear they have a reputation for not always doing what should be best for Cyborg. They might have those intentions. They might want to do what's best for Cyborg, but there comes a lot of times where they make wrong choices. At least that's the rumor. So Dana White doesn't want in the Chris Cyborg business anymore. Chris Cyborg says, "Fuck off. I have plenty of offers elsewhere." And she did. I can guarantee you she was getting offers from everybody. Bellator, Ryzen, KSW, the list goes on and on. Hell, it'd be insane if ONE FC ever had a women's division at that weight class. That'd be awesome. The people over there in that part of the world, in the Philippines and Malaysia and all these places, are die-hard fight fans. They would love her over there. But when push comes to shove, Chris Cyborg decided to get in the Bellator business. More importantly, Chris Cyborg decided to get in the Scott Coker business. And we all know what happens when Chris Cyborg and Scott Coker team up. One word: violence. Because if I remember correctly, one of the first times I ever saw Chris Cyborg was at a Strikeforce event. It was at a Strikeforce event, and for the love of me, I can't remember who she fought at that time, because mixed women's MMA was not thriving the way it is now. However, I remember Chris Cyborg horribly, horribly destroying this woman. And then she did it again. And then she did it again. And then years would pass and she kept doing it. And I became a huge Cyborg fan. And part of her allure, part of that presence she has about her in the octagon or in any cage or ring comes from Scott Coker. Because Scott Coker knew how to mold that girl and knew how to promote her the right way. He knew how to build her up to the point where her skills were going to be elite, to where she can hang with the elite. And she has her whole career. So now she's back with Scott Coker and Bellator. And that's great, because speaking of Bellator, Bellator is a great company. It's a big company. It's another place that fighters can go work. Bellator is a Viacom entity. Viacom has lots of money. Bellator has now made a deal with DAZN, who, by the way, is murdering it in the fight business. So they're on DAZN now. They're on Viacom channels. And at one point, you could easily call Bellator the second biggest mixed martial arts promotion in the world. Could they still lay stake to that claim? Maybe. I mean, they still have a shitload of worthy fighters. Rory McDonald, for one. Douglas Lima. The list goes on and on. Hell, even the older guys they have in there now, like Lyoto Machida. Even him is someone I want to watch. So Bellator might still be able to be huge, but I don't know if they're the number 2 company in the world anymore. Because out in the distance, I hear the sound, and I hear one fighting championship saying, "Hold my beer, look at the shit we're doing over here in the Philippines. Look at the shit that we're putting on in this side of the world." And I don't mean shit in a bad way. I'm sorry, folks. This plant sometimes gets my brain a little wired differently. However, One Championship is the epitome of a fighting company. They are doing great things with kickboxing, with Muay Thai. That side of the world, the Philippines, have been breeding fighters for years. For years. These people fight since they're children, for the simple fact that they want to eat, for the simple fact that they want to improve their situation in their lives. They are born and bred fighters, and they've never been given chances at this level to be showcased. And now they are. And every time I watch a 1FC show, whether it be a prelim or a main event card fight, oh my God, these guys look like they're trying the hardest I've ever seen. You can feel the passion with every punch. You can feel the guts with every kick. It's insane. One Fighting Championship, in my opinion, is the number 2 company in the world, followed by Bellator, because I will watch every single Bellator show that they have. I love Bellator. I've been watching it for years, even when Jordan Rebney was the promoter there and was acting a fool. So Chris Cyborg landing in this company isn't a bad thing at all. It's a great thing. If anybody deserves to be at the top of any organization, it's Chris Cyborg. And you can be damn sure Scott Coker and the promotion are going to get behind her 100%. And you know what else is crazy? Is the fact that Bellator works with Ryzen. We all know Ryzen from Japan, right? That can make for some intriguing fights, because Ryzen, aka Pride Jr., even though most people say that KSW in Poland is Pride Jr., but you know, Ryzen's up there. It's even run by some of the same people as before. Anywho, Bellator works with Ryzen, and Ryzen likes to make freak show fights. And I'm not calling Chris Cyborg a freak, because she isn't, but boy, oh boy, can we see her in some intriguing fucking fights over there. Granted, we're never going to see her fight the fight that everybody wants to see her fight in, which is huge, giant jiu-jitsu girl, Gabriel. What the heck is her name? Here, let me Google her. I can't believe I forgot her name. I'm having a brain fart. Cyborg. I don't know. Best friend? Oh, Gabby Garcia. There you go. Giant ass Gabby Garcia, who I seen fight some woman that started running the ropes like it was a professional wrestling match. It was crazy. It was crazy to watch, but boy was it entertaining. So Chris Cyborg might have shut that cage door on the UFC, but man, there's a world of opportunity now. Whole world of opportunity. I love Chris Cyborg, and I hope nothing but the best for her, and I hope she does great things despite all these idiots talking shit, besides all these idiots trying to take away her whole career off of a few mistakes. Here at Have Fun on the Indies, Abe, your host, and the rest of the staff here, from the guys who try to edit this shit so it doesn't sound like complete crap, we're all Cyborg Nation here. Go Cyborg. Moving on from the cyborg business. Oh, God. Here's one that everybody's going to love, and it's going to be rough to watch. But boy, oh boy, it's just very, very intriguing. Gabriel Gonzaga and Antonio Bigfoot Silva are going to be fighting. And you guys want to know what's crazy? It's going to be a stand-up fight, something they're both great at. They're going to be throwing hands, no kicks. It's going to be a boxing fight. So you have two guys who can definitely knock people out, who definitely have knocked people out, and they're going to fight each other. And some people say they might be a little bit past their prime. However, those two guys standing up, I'll pay for it. Guaranteed fact. So moving on. Oh, wait a minute. Did I forget to mention? It's in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. What the fuck just happened? Exactly. Gabriel Gonzaga and Antonio Bigfoot Silva are fighting bare knuckle in a bare knuckle boxing match for the promotion Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And my God, can you imagine the violence? I mean, if anybody has watched any Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship shows, it's pure insanity. It is pure insanity. The cuts, some of the cuts are gruesome. Artem Lobov, Jason Knight. Does everybody remember that fight? Do you remember the cuts? Does everybody remember Artem Lobov's hands looking like boxing gloves? His freaking hands look like giant boxing gloves. It's insane. I think it's Steve Feldman, or David Feldman, is the president of BKFC. And while the guy is kind of a douche, in my opinion, even though I don't really know the guy, but the one time I really did see him was when he came out and tried to strip someone's purse because to his satisfaction, it wasn't a great fight because it wasn't action-packed. So, I don't know, Dave Feldman kind of pisses me off a little bit, but he sure as hell knows how to promote this thing. And quite frankly, he's doing a damn good job of it. Some of these guys are obviously, ex-MMA fighters, and that's part of the allure. Now, can you imagine if he starts getting other guys like Rico Verhoeven from kickboxing to go do a bare knuckle fighting championship fight? How insane would that be? Well, anyways, here's a press release that Dave Feldman, in a release, Dave Feldman from BKFC president had this to say. I am very excited to have these two legends competing in the BKFC squared circle. They have fought and beat some of the best fighters in the world, and now they will fight each other. Tampa is a great fight market, and we are thrilled to be able to host another event there. The fans in Tampa love BKFC, and we plan on giving them another great show. Of course, that place is going to be packed. They're not selling arenas out yet. But these shows in the venues that they're in looked full, and the crowd is insane. And these fights are insane. I mean, let's see. Bigfoot Silva has been getting KO'd quite a bit. According to this article on MMAfighting.com, he's lost like his last 7 out of 10 fights. Not only has he lost 7 of his last 10 fights, he's been finished in 7 of his last 10 fights. Gabriel Gonzaga has been all over the goddamn place. I'm pretty sure I heard he did a boxing match. In 2018, he fought Alexander Emelianenko but lost via technical knockout. And according to this article, I was going to say this, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, he did. That's when he retired, was when he lost to Derek Lewis, the Black Beast. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this fight. People can say these two guys are out of their prime, and yeah, they might be. However, in my opinion, they're in the same stage in life, and if they want to do this, they can do this. And Bigfoot Silva started going down when they took away that TRT, that testosterone, which he kind of needed to live. Without it, he could barely get through the day, let alone a fight, a professional fight. So TRT might be back. Because quite frankly, I'm pretty sure bare knuckle fighting championship drug tests, but I'm also pretty sure it's not the very expensive drug tests. Let's be real here. They're probably making a profit, but they're not making millions per se. I mean, Dave Feldman is really into this bare knuckle thing. Whether it's just for the money or for the love of fighting, I don't know, but these shows are awesome, and I've watched most of them now. And sometimes it's hard to watch. Who knows, right? We'll see what happens. Moving on from fucking bare knuckle fighting championship, which is insane to me. But what can you do? So, let's see here. In this freaking unorganized stew of crap that I've organized here. So, Dana White at the UFC 242 press conference talking about Tony being next for Khabib. And quite frankly, he said if Tony Ferguson isn't ready to fight Khabib, it's going to McGregor. That McGregor makes the most sense. I mean, it is what it is, right? These guys are in the money-making business. Tony Ferguson definitely deserves it. If he can't get the shot, there's obviously other guys that deserve it more. But what can you do? Conor McGregor brings in the numbers. And quite frankly, not only does he bring in the numbers, his fights are exciting. He might not win all his fights, but every single one of his fights feels big, and he's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. I am not a Conor McGregor fan. I definitely am not. I'm more of the traditional MMA guy fan. And Conor McGregor's shtick is not really my thing, even though I do respect it. But Conor McGregor is a good fighter. And to say he isn't, you're dead wrong. Now, he might not be great on the ground, but overall, he's a great fighter. So Dana White said if Tony's not ready, he's in. People are pissed off that Dana says McGregor is the choice if Ferguson can't do it. I don't blame them. And I think I have audio here of some stuff relating to this. Let me see if I can find it. I probably won't be able to find it. Give me a sec here, folks, while I take a swig of this beer while searching for this audio clip that's probably annoying the hell out of you guys. Hey, if you don't want me to do this, pay me money so I can hire a producer. How about that? That'd be great. Give me a sec here. Here's Dana White had some. Oh yeah, here's the Dana White at the press conference when he said McGregor might be next. I think it's audio clip. All right. Here, let's see what he had to say. All right, hold on. All right.
He's next. I mean, Tony Ferguson is next in line for the fight. If he accepts the fight, we'll see how this thing plays out. When Khabib will fight again, and if Tony wants to fight.
And when you look.
So there you go. And if Tony wants to fight. I've seen Tony Ferguson on social media. He looks like he's damn ready to fight. He looks like he's been ready to fight for a while. It's a crazy time in the lightweight division in the UFC. Khabib's destroying folks. He just mauled Dustin Poirier in Abu Dhabi. Dana White is trying to get McGregor to come back. Tony Ferguson is back. Justin Gaethje's destroying fools. Hell, even though Donald Cerrone lost, he's still doing crazy shit. Good time to be in the lightweight division. Next, we got Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, officially announced for Madison Square Garden on November 2nd at UFC 244. Holy crap. Is that a fight that's going to sell? That's a fight that's going to sell a lot. First off, apparently Nate is finally getting some respect around that place, because there was a whole slew of stuff that led up to this fight. It was supposed to be something like, there was supposed to be other fights happening in the main event. They didn't want to fight, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of crap happened. Colby Covington was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman. Covington blamed Usman, saying Usman didn't want to fight. Usman took off to Africa. Fucking Colby Covington, apparently, I don't know what happened. They're saying he didn't want the fight because he wanted to get paid more, which we'll get to in a bit here. But all in all, everything ended up with Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal in Madison Square Garden. Masvidal is going to make the pressers awesome and the interviews awesome, because Jorge Masvidal all of a sudden has a gimmick, and he's always had this gimmick. It just hasn't been focused on as much, and he's kind of like Nate Diaz. Take no bullshit, I want to fight. And Jorge Masvidal is going to be perfect against Nate. It's going to be real fun to watch these press conferences. And then something else happens. During an interview or during whatever, I can't remember, Nate brings up the fact that they should fight for the BMF belt, which stands for the baddest motherfucker belt. And Dana White agrees. And this sends the mixed martial arts world into a frenzy. Because when you have something called the bad motherfucker belt, you look at your friend that you're watching fights with and you say, what the fuck is this WWE, and is this the hardcore belt? Or the WWE 24/7 belt? What are we doing here? And you can't blame these people for thinking that, because quite frankly, right now with Ari Emanuel and Endeavor and all those guys taking over the UFC, guys from Hollywood taking over the UFC, you're going to get these kind of things. You're going to get these gimmicks. And quite frankly, the fans are pissed. The fans don't like it, but it's your own goddamn fault. You heard me. It's your own goddamn fault, because you still watch it. You still pay for the tickets. You still give them pay-per-view buys. So they're going to keep doing it. But if you want to look at it positively, Dana White, during a press conference, said that it's a one-off deal. So it's not like these guys are going to fight for the baddest motherfucker belt and then go on and defend this belt as if it's a thing. Even though it makes you wonder, whoever does win this fight, when they do have their next fight, are they going to bring it with them? I hope not, because it's just, what are we doing? We can't just have these many belts everywhere. It's just weird. Keep that in professional wrestling. It's great in professional wrestling. But don't start bringing all these cockamamie belts all over the place, right? Keep that shit as a trophy. That's what I would do. If I won that fight, I'd keep it as a trophy at my house. Anywho, great fight. Madison Square Garden. UFC 242. Well, UFC 242. UFC 244. And it's going to be awesome. As Nate Diaz said, Jorge Masvidal might be a gangster, but he ain't no West Coast gangster. And it starts. Tupac versus Biggie. It's going on inside the octagon. I love MMA. Love MMA. What about Khabib? Man, Khabib's killing it, right? Let's see, he had that showing against Dustin Poirier over in Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi went all out to make Khabib feel like a freaking hero. If you looked at some of those embedded episodes, holy crap. This whole show, that whole week, was built around Khabib and his people, and it was beautiful to see. It was goddamn beautiful to see. It was goddamn beautiful to see the respect Dustin Poirier and Khabib Nurmagomedov showed themselves. It was great to see the respect they showed the sport. And what Khabib did at the end of that fight, goddamn, everybody can learn from. He picked Daniel Cormier. He went up to Dustin Poirier, grabbed his shirt, and they exchanged shirts. Khabib wore the shirt during the in-octagon post-fight interview, and it was awesome. It felt like I was watching an old-school mixed martial arts movie, or martial arts movie. There was no mixed martial arts movies back then. An old-school martial arts movie. It was so awesome. And then Khabib, all class, continues this shit at the press conference, at the post-fight press conference. And, you know, goddamn, I hope Khabib keeps that belt for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I hope he retires with that belt for a very long time. He said he was going to auction off that shirt, and whatever he got out of it, he was going to match it so Dustin Poirier can donate it to his charity. And that's exactly what happened. I think Khabib donated like $100,000. How badass is that? Man. God, I just wish Khabib stayed in the game for a super long time and then maybe see him fight these insane fights. Can you imagine if one day Khabib wants to move up to 170 and then all of a sudden he tries to fight Colby Covington? Holy shit. How crazy would that be? Even though I understand Khabib said that he wants to stay in the lightweight division. That in his opinion, a guy who wants to be the GOAT has to dominate his whole division. He's not looking to bounce up and down. He's looking to just smash everybody in his division. Awesome fighter. And here he is at the post-fight press conference. Here's some stuff he had to say. If I can look at the thing. Let's see. Real quickly here.
With you saying that and praising him, you beating him like you did, what does that say about you now, being 28-0, 12-0 in UFC?
I don't know. I hope, it's like, what's interesting in this sport? Even if you're 28-0, 12-0 in UFC, you're one of the biggest stars. You smash everybody. People gonna talk about, you have to fight with him, you have to fight with him, we have to fight with him. Give me just respect. Put me on #1 pound for pound fight next week, and because I think I deserve this, because I dominate, with all my opponents. I'm undefeated, and I think I deserve some respect.
Fuck yeah, he does. I think I deserve some respect. Sir, you've deserved respect for a very, very long time. And quite frankly, why isn't he in the pound for pound best fighter in the world rankings? That shit makes absolutely no sense. What, does he have to win another belt, win 2 belts and not defend them? Is that what he's got to do to be on the pound for pound list from some of these fucking journalists? What is going on? But you know what? It's all good because now he's getting the respect. Now he's understanding this fight game. And now he's getting everything he deserves. I hope he does great in his career. We need more fighters like Khabib. Oh, here's one that got a little nuts. Here was a headline that got a little nuts. So I said we were going to talk about Colby Covington and what happened with him and Usman and all those contract negotiations that went sour. And man, Colby Covington is just... he's very brash. He has talked shit about everybody. Dana White, his own teammates, fucking everybody. And recently, Colby Covington explained his side of the story about what he thinks about what happened during those contract negotiations with Kamaru Usman. One, he went into his gimmick, yes, and talked about how Usman didn't want to fight him, and Usman's scared, blah, blah, blah. But then, he got into the details. And the details are kind of crazy because he got into the details about his own side of this contract negotiations. And Colby Covington doesn't give a fuck. He just went off on the UFC. Completely went off on the UFC. He's done it before and has gone off on Dana White and called him Uncle Fester and did all these things. But now he's gone off on the UFC again. Here's some of the things he had to say. This is via an article on MMAfighting.com by Damon Martin. Let's see. Here's what Colby Covington had to say. What happened exactly was the UFC came to me and offered me a basic challenger's rate. I said, no, I'm not challenging. I'm champion. I've never lost. I just defended my title. I brought in the Trumps. I got a tweet from Donald Trump. That's like $3.5 million in marketing. If you break down the analytics of it in itself just to promote their show. I put my life on the line for this company. Went to Brazil, said outlandish things where people literally wanted to kill me. And I had gangs and favelas coming after me. And they still want to come at me with this basic challenger, entry fee type money. I'm standing up for what's right. Okay, and that's crazy because, for one, he's not a champion. I understand there was a whole situation where he won the interim championship and he couldn't fight Tyrone Woodley once and he couldn't fight Tyrone Woodley again and they stripped him of the belt and all these things happened. However, he kind of makes a little bit of a point. Hey, UFC, if you're looking for clicks and you're looking for attention, and that's the kind of fighters that you promote, aka Conor McGregor, this guy's doing it. The Trump family went to go watch him fight. The Trump family were in the front row at one of his fights. I mean, what more can you say? There's nothing much more you can say. He's a proven asset. And it's very weird. It feels like the UFC has something against Colby Covington, but I don't know. Maybe it could be just be my paranoia after hitting this vape. But hey, and we continue. Let's see what else he said. Okay, here we go. They didn't give me a negotiation. They said, take this or we'll just move on to someone else. That's not negotiating. That's bad business. And if that's how they want to do business, that's their problem. That's not my problem. They came with those hostage negotiations. They come and say, take this offer or we'll just move on to the next person. That's not how negotiating works. This is kind of wacky. I read Art of the Deal from Donald Trump. I know how to work a deal and how deals work. They're not going to take advantage of me and try to put me in a hostage position where they don't give me any say or any room to negotiate. That's not fair and it's not right. And I quote, and here's what's crazy. Colby Covington has said this kind of stuff before. He said fighters need to start standing the fuck up for what they believe in. Whether they're scared of the UFC or not, they need to start standing up for what's right, because if they don't, the UFC is just going to take advantage of them. And in my opinion, the UFC is not a bad company. They treat their fighters well, but can they do better? Of course. But they do give out bonuses. They do keep guys even after losses if they're good fighters and exciting fighters. They do a lot of good shit for mixed martial arts. And sometimes the hate they get, it's just not warranted. The UFC is not the devil. But sometimes things like this make them seem like the devil. It's just contract negotiations are hard. And it's just the way it is. It's business. They're a money-making business. And the fighters are in the money-making business also. And sometimes things are tough. But what Colby Covington says isn't wrong. He kind of is standing up for what he believes in. And let's face it, the UFC does do this a lot where they kind of not outright talk about contract negotiations to the media, but they mention things and they say things in the media that will get a fighter thinking because they're in the middle of a contract negotiation. And Colby Covington's like, fuck it. I'm doing the exact same shit and going off. And you can't blame him. You just can't fucking blame him. I don't like Colby Covington talking shit to everybody, or Colby Covington making fun of Dustin Poirier and the way he was sentimental after his loss. The way he is kind of talking shit with Jorge Masvidal now, but that one is kind of a different story, because Colby Covington and Colby Covington and Poirier seems kind of personal. Poirier wants to fight him in his fucking gym. Masvidal and Covington, on the other hand, seem like they hate each other. They're playing that whole we used to be friends, now we're bitter enemies card. But they used to be really good friends. And they've always said that if they were to ever have to fight each other, that they would, that it's just business, that they're going for that money. So I don't know if Masvidal's and Covington's is a work, but I guarantee you Dustin Poirier's and Covington's beef isn't a work. That's almost a guarantee. Oh, and look at this. Here's Colby Covington talking about Jorge Masvidal. Let's see if I can read it. The UFC used Jorge Masvidal as a pawn, and we all know I'm playing chess, not checkers. They want to use Jorge as a little pawn to fight for the JMF, the journeyman mother effing title, against another scrub and jobber in Nate Diaz, who has a 50-50 record, 1-1 in the last 3 years. He's a Stockton soy boy. They just used those guys as pawns against me and Usman. That's crazy. And they might have, but if Nate Diaz were to ever go back up to 170 and fight Colby Covington, that could be pretty badass in terms of the trash talk. That can be pretty badass in terms of the anticipation and the build-up for the fight. And the fight will be insanely badass. Only problem is I feel like Colby Covington is way too big in terms of mass and is way too good at wrestling. And while Nate Diaz is a tremendous black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Covington's wrestling is crazy. and badass, and it damages you. It would be a great fight to watch, but the last time they asked Nate, hey, have you heard what Colby Covington's been saying about you? Nate said, who's that? So there's that, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's about it for the mixed martial arts stuff. Let's go to the dirt sheets real quick. What I like to call the dirt sheets. See if we have anything we missed. Let's see here. We talked about Cyborg signing with Scott Coker. The Dana White, Tony Ferguson, Khabib stuff. The bad motherfucking title we talked about. Man, there's not a lot right now that I'm clicking. Oh man, here's what the hell? Here's one from the Underground. If anybody visits mixedmartialarts.com and goes to the forums, the Underground, here's an article on the Underground. Well, it's not an article, a thread started by a guy named Jorge Masvidal. Jorge, W-H-O-R-E, Hey, H-A-Y, and then Masvidal. Holy crap. Valor Bare Knuckle. So what is this? Ken Shamrock is opening up a bare knuckle promotion? What the fuck? Let's see the card here. Not a lot of people I notice. Ishii Smith. Oh, it's kind of like very indie-ish compared to BKFC. But man, good for him. Ken Shamrock can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's put his years in fighting. If he wants to fight and fight someone that's on his level nowadays, he should be able to fucking do that. If he wants to open up a goddamn bare knuckle fighting promotion, he should be able to do that. If he wants to be in the business and do podcasts and just stay in the business that he probably has loved his whole goddamn life, he deserves the right to do that. Fuck it. Good job, Ken. You're a promoter now. for a bare knuckle promoter. Will I be watching? I don't know. That's a good question because there's a lot of fights going on. Let's go to MMAfighting.com and see if we can, if there's anything that we can close the show with. Joseph Benavidez wants Henry Cejudo to decide if he's going to defend or relinquish his flyweight title. He's still chasing that. Damn, Jacare Souza opens up about mental health issues that almost led to retirement. That should be a good read for later. That's right. Jeremy Stevens and Yair Rodriguez are fighting this weekend, I think it is. That should be a great fight. If I remember Yair Rodriguez's last fight, he just upward elbowed the Korean Zombie, and how insane was that? It was one of the craziest knockouts, I'm going to say, in the history of the UFC. With the way his elbow just flew in an upward forward motion, I don't even know what to call it. But that should be a good fight. Jeremy Stevens is really good. If his confidence is right, he is a savage. What else we got here? Oh, man, this one hurts. Ooh, this one hurts. UFC middleweight David Branch suspended 2 years by USADA following failed drug test. Wow, that is fucked up. David Branch has been everywhere. World Series of Fighting. He's been in the UFC for a long time, too. Let's check what David Branch has done in mixed martial arts real quick, so I don't just speak like an idiot. Let's check his record real quick. I know he's been everywhere and he's done everything. He's fought for the UFC. He was World Series of Fighting, Bellator, Ring of Combat. Man, he's fought a lot of good people, too. Luke Rockhold, Thiago Santos, Vinny Magalhaes, Yushin Okami, Paulo Filho, Anthony Johnson, Ruzumar Palhares. Yeah, this guy's been around. It's very fucked up to say. We've talked about this before. USADA and all this anti-doping. It's awesome. It's just sometimes people get caught in the crossfires and sometimes people just break the rules. I wonder what happened. Here, let's read a little bit of this. The news of the suspension was announced by USADA on Wednesday as the administrator of the UFC's anti-doping policy. Branch, 37, tested positive for ipamorelin as a result of a urine sample he provided out of competition on May 24th, 2019. Ipamorelin is in the class of peptide hormones, growth factors, related substances, and mimetics, and prohibited at all times under the UFC anti-doping policy. See what the hell this thing is, though. Does it say what it is? Oh, here it is. Oh, man. Ooh, this sounds rough. Ipamorelin is a potent growth hormone secretagogue that stimulates the brain to release human growth hormone and is used by athletes as a performance-enhancing drug. Whoa. It stimulates the brain, huh? The use of prohibited peptides, blah, blah, blah. We get it. I wonder how that's taken. Should I Google that real quick? Or am I spending too much time on this? I wonder how it's taken. Because could it have been ingested in his body in a way like, for example, all these contaminated meat problems that we've been having? Where people are getting caught with PEDs because they're eating contaminated meat that actual governments have said is a problem. But no, this is human growth hormone, so it's probably injected. Man, I don't care. David Branch rules. He's had a great career. He's got nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, this is bad. Everybody makes mistakes. If he is guilty, remember, he still has to go through the justification process. Whatever. He still has to go through the fucking whole process. Of, talking to USADA, going in front of fucking the athletic commissions and all of that. And we'll see what happens. He's had a great career, though. He can be an old man and tell his grandchildren and tell anybody that'll listen that tell all kinds of stories about his career. It's pretty nuts. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for mixed martial arts. So we're going to move on. Actually, we're not going to move on because that's not the way you close it. You don't close MMA that way. There is no I'm going to snap this week, so I'm giving you a match to watch. Eddie Alvarez versus Edward Foleyang, August 2nd, 2019 at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay, Philippines for the company One Fighting Championship. Great fight. Eddie Alvarez is having his own journey over there in One Fighting Championship. Lost his first fight there, then somehow got back into the tournament. It's a great ride for him. I enjoy watching that guy, so go on and do that, ladies and gentlemen. You bunch of freaks. Let's see here. We're going to do boxing now. We're going to move away from the cage. We're going to go into the squared circle. Put on some leather gloves and play some punch face. Let's see here. And here's something pretty crazy. Canelo Alvarez is going to be moving up in weight. And he's going to be fighting Sergey Kovalev. Just, holy shit, dude. That's going to be a good fight. I know Sergey Kovalev has not looked the best recently. I understand that. Everybody understands that. A lot of those Andre Ward fights took a lot out of him. He fought Eleider Alvarez and lost. He got the rematch and won. And recently, he fought Anthony Yarde. That was a good fight. He looked a little weird in that fight. People say he looked weak. Hey, he won the fight. He KO'd him in the 11th. So it is what it is. Now he's got Canelo at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Nevada. And it's going to be crazy. It should be a really good fight. And for the life of me, no joke, I can't remember Canelo fighting a man who is bigger than he is. I just can't. Erislandy Lara might have been taller, but not bigger. I mean, Canelo's going up 2 weight classes, isn't he? That's what I think. Because what's he going to be doing? It's going to be at light heavyweight. So he is moving up 2 classes. Or is he moving up 1? Because Canelo is 160. Super middleweight's 168. He's going up 2 weight classes. Because I know he is going up 2 weight classes, right? Because he usually fights at 154 or 160. Anywho, that should be a sick fight. And like I said, I can't remember Canelo fighting a man bigger than him. And Canelo always has that advantage of being the bigger man, the more powerful man. And that might not be the case this time. Kovalev's last fight was Anthony Yarde. We saw that. Canelo's last fight was Daniel Jacobs. It was a hard fight, but he won clean. No questions asked. And, Canelo's Achilles heel per se was all these technical boxers. All the technical boxers were his Achilles heel. Mayweather, took him to the laundry mats. I hate to say it, but Erislandy Lara, it really looked like he won that fight by just outboxing him. I mean, it is what it is. And Canelo, but now his last fight, he fought Daniel Jacobs, and Daniel Jacobs is a good fighter, is a good, well-rounded fighter. He's not just a brawler. He's not just going to be a guy who's going to come up to you and start throwing caution to the wind. He's a boxer. And Canelo showed that he can hang. Not only with the technical prowess of Jacobs, but with the pressure of that fight. Because Daniel Jacobs was coming off of fighting Gennady Golovkin. All these things, had a lot of experience. And Canelo put it out there, and Canelo won. Canelo had the cardio and had the technical prowess. It was insane. Canelo right now, quite frankly, looks like probably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Yes, more than Tyson Fury, more than Deontay Wilder, more than all these guys. He is the biggest draw right now. There's no questions asked about that. You know, we'll see what happens with Kovalev. It should be a super interesting fight. There's no doubt about that. I'll be watching. The world will be watching. Canelo is the man. We all know he's the man. And here's the weird part about Canelo, though, before I move on, because I was about to move on to something else, the heavyweights. I was about to move on to the heavyweights, but what the fuck? It's so crazy now, right? Because him and Oscar De La Hoya have been having a weird relationship lately. Oscar De La Hoya and even Ryan Garcia have been having a weird relationship lately. It's almost like Oscar's lying too much to these guys, and these guys are getting sick of it. And Canelo, it's weird that he didn't fight on Mexican Independence Day on September 11th. It just was. You wonder what happened with that. So, you know who decided to take up on September 11th? Tyson Fury did. Tyson Fury. God, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury decided, hey, fuck it. I'm going to fight on Mexican Independence Day. The whole week leading up to it, I'm going to act like a Mexican. I'm going to pay homage to the Mexicans. And I'm not going to lie. At first, when I seen him wear the Mexican sombreros and coveting the Mexican flags, I thought to myself, oh, hell no, he's pulling a Floyd Mayweather. Where Mayweather did that before, but it was mocking the Mexican people, is what it seemed like. This Gypsy King looked like he understood us. He was so over with the Mexican crowd when it was all said and done. And let alone the fight. The fight. Oh my God. Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallen from the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada. My God, the drama. Big drama show. Wallen was fucking game. The whole fight. He opened up a cut on Fury's eye. A cut. It was a fucking gash. Huge gash got opened up on Tyson Fury's face. A small one, or a deep one on his eyelid, and a huge one on his eyebrow. And Wallen didn't give a fuck. Did not give one fuck. Was just going after the cut over and over and over again. It was a sight to see. Hell, even in round 6, I think it was round 6 or somewhere in the middle of the fight, Wallen stops giving a fuck and even goes and thumbs/rakes Tyson Fury's cut after he and Fury were separated towards the end of the round for clinching. It was a low move. It really was. It even looked like Tyson Fury got a little bit surprised by it. Literally, Otto Wallen stuck his thumb out there. It was insane. And he didn't back down at all. And you have to give that guy credit. And Otto Wallen's stock rose. Quite frankly, Otto Wallen's stock rose tenfold. Even though he lost the fight, he will be put in another fight, and he's going to have a chance to win, and they're going to try to build him up, and rightfully they should. He's not a bad-looking guy. He's promotable. He's marketable. And he's obviously a fighter with a lot of heart. It's the fighter in him. I remember before the press conferences, he said something along the lines of, and I got this off of the commentators on the Showtime boxing broadcast, or ESPN boxing broadcast, that he said it was just in him. When he gets hit, when he gets in a fight, it's something inside him that makes him want to fight that way. And it was one hell of a fight. His stock rose, and Tyson Fury's stock, in my opinion, rose because he just keeps fighting, whether it be nobodies or not. However, in a lot of fans' eyes, he looked vulnerable. He looked vulnerable because he was hit a lot, and he looked vulnerable because it looked like he was this close to having a referee stoppage. This close. A hair pluck away from the fight being stopped and Tyson Fury having one of those Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz moments. How crazy was that, though? That fight it was awesome. We gotta love Tyson Fury. People talk about, oh, who's Otto Wallen? Oh, who's fucking Tom Schwartz? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Do you want him fighting once a year? Is that what you fucking people want? Just once a year. He's using these fights not only to give himself promotion, but also as kind of practice. If you think about it, practice in front of a live audience. What the hell is wrong with everybody? It's like people are mad when fighters don't fight enough, and people are mad when fighters do fight. Oh, what? So you expect him to go from Wilder to Joshua to fucking Derek Chisora to the list goes on and on. Povetkin. What's going on here? Let the guy fight who he wants to fight. We are guaranteed that at least one time a year he's going to fight a badass fight. This past year, it was what? Freaking Deontay Wilder. And guess what? For 2020, Bob Arum and Tyson Fury and all them have signed a contract where he's going to fight Deontay Wilder twice. And they want to do one in February 22nd, and they want to do one in the summer. And quite frankly, who knows if that's going to happen? The contracts are signed, and they want them to happen, but is Tyson Fury's eye going to be healed up by that time? That wasn't just a cut. It was an abnormal cut. It was deep. It was long. And if it wasn't for the cut man, who got a bonus, by the way, from Tyson Fury, that fight could have been disastrous. So I don't know if it's going to heal. And that's not even saying the fact that Deontay Wilder has a fight against Ortiz later on this year. Who knows how that's going to go, because their first fight, Deontay Wilder won. Deontay Wilder stopped him. However, the fight was exciting. Deontay Wilder got tagged a lot in that fight and got wobbled at 2. Ortiz, King Kong Ortiz, is not a fucking joke. Might be a little old now, but he's not a fucking joke at all. Anywho, man, it's good times to be into the heavyweight boxing business. Here's another thing that made me laugh my ass off at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury cuts the best promos. Tyson Fury is just badass. And Anthony Joshua was being interviewed. And here's what he had to say. Give me a second while I pull up the audio if I can here, please. All right, here we go. Anthony Joshua talking about Tyson Fury.
He's an interesting character, man. He's an interesting character. Tyson will call me randomly.
On the phone?
Yeah. Tyson will call me randomly on the phone. And he'll be like, you have a little laugh and that, and I'll have a little laugh. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to knock you out. He says, shut up, I'll knock you out. And then, you know what I mean? That's just me and Tyson through and through. The respect's there, but we're fighting men.
Did everybody hear that? Tyson Fury every so often calls Anthony Joshua and tells him he's going to knock him out. I mean, that's hilarious to me. Tyson Fury is so awesome after he's come back from all those issues he had. Goddamn inspiration. A great promo. A great fighter to watch. I can't wait to see more of him. And, Tyson Fury is playing it smart. He's staying active and he's staying in people's minds by doing these things to Anthony Joshua. By freaking calling all kinds of names. Hell, at one point I think he called out Alexander Usyk, who's moving up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. And according to Fury, he's a bum. Crazy times here. Tyson Fury knows the game. You have to win fights, but you have to win the people too. And these days, interviews are king. Anywho. At the end of the day, I wonder what will be more exciting. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, or Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. That'd be great, right? Anywho, moving on from this stuff. Oh, here's a fucking doozy. But I think we'll end it with that. Yeah, here, before we get to that one, let's talk about Derek Chisora. Man, Derek Chisora just fucking doesn't give a fuck, does he? Let's see if I can find this thing here. Derek Chisora lost it at the Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor press conference. Completely freaking lost it. And, I understand. He's a tad frustrated. But here, let's see some of the stuff he had to say. Here's an article about it on boxingnews24.com by Charles Brunn See if they have some of the quotes from this guy. Oh, here it is. So Chisora is the co-main event for this fight, and Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor are the main event. Now, you're assuming they probably did that because they want the young blood to get the exposure, and they know that Chisora's a draw. So they're trying to use him to rub off on the main event guys. Here's some of the things that has to work that Chisora says during the press conference, in the middle of this press conference, when it's said that he's going to be a co-main eventer, not the actual main event. That doesn't work for me. I'm not going to sell out the O2 for them guys to be the main event. I'm not going to be chief support to these guys. We're going to need to change that. I'm bringing orders, so I'm not going to be chief support. It's as simple as that. These guys won't sell box office by themselves, so fuck that. So you either give me the main event or pull me out of the fucking show. This is what he's saying as Eddie Hearn is right next to him. So Eddie Hearn says, okay, let's talk about the fight. And Chisora interrupts and says, no, I'm fucking being serious. You want to put these little guys that no one knows about on my show, and then you want to try and mug me off? Fuck that. I'm being serious. You know this is not right. The Muhammad Ali trophy. No one gives a fuck about it no more. Nobody gives a fuck about little guys anymore. They only give a fuck about the heavyweight game. The big guys in the top 10. The big guys. So for you to try and give me chief support on my own bill, that's bullshit. So yeah, he fucking went off. And I don't know, man, little Regis Prograis fucking decides to respond. And, you know, Prograis is 5'8", and he's a light welterweight. He's 140 pounds. So Derek Chisora is a heavyweight. It's kind of crazy, but Regis Prograis says, me and Josh Taylor, number 1 and number 2. Chisora yells out, nobody cares about you, bro. And Prograis repeats, we're number 1 and number 2. So Derek Chisora looked like he was going to jump over that table and start fucking people up, is what it looked like. And Chisora's frustrated, and I understand. It seems a little bit like he's at the end of his rope for his career. Like, he still has a career, obviously. He still has a lot of matchups that he can fight. However, he is getting older, and it's not the same anymore, you know? His last couple fights, he's won. Arthur Spilka, Cyanide Gashi, but then he lost to Dillian White. He lost to Ajit Kabayel. He lost to Dillian White again. He lost to Kubrat Pulev. I don't know. I understand him being angry. He's, you know, fought so long and put so much into the sport that he's like, what the fuck? Why am I not main event? But it is what it is. Boxing is a revolving door. And at the end of the day, the young guys need to get showcased somehow, especially if they are being groomed to be stars and draws, not only in arenas, but on TV or on streaming networks or wherever it may be. Chisora has a following in the UK. And, you know, by putting Prograis and Taylor in the main event, it brings eyeballs to the new talent. It's just the way it goes. It's like that for mixed martial arts. It's like that for professional wrestling. It's like that for every sport. It's a revolving door. And I think I have audio of Derek Chisora going off a little bit. Let's see if I can find it. I do have audio. It's about 30 seconds of audio, though, but better than nothing, right? Here, let's see if I can play some for you people. For you boxing aficionados. Here we go.
That boxing right now is thriving on the heavyweights. So for you to try and give me a chief support on my own bill, that's
we number 1 and number 2.
Huh?
We number 1 and number 2.
Who's number 1? Bro, nobody cares about you, bro. Let's all be honest.
But we
Don't get
number
me-
1
don't
and
make-
number 2.
Yo, don't get me started, bro. Before I
We
squash
number 1
you,
and
bro.
number 2.
Yo, I don't give a
Alright, everybody, how's it going?
You hear that shit? And then Josh Taylor grabs the mic and he's like, hey, everybody. How's it going? Follow me on Twitter. God, that was awkward. But it is what it is. I'm a big Derek Chisora fan. I'll watch. And then I think we have one more thing before we get to the dirt sheets in boxing. And this one is kind of crazy. And it sent a lot of people, you know, into a frenzy a little bit. Logan Paul versus KSI 2, the rematch. And you could be sitting there, sipping on your coffee, running on the treadmill, doing whatever it is you're doing while you're listening to this podcast, and you could be thinking, yeah, so They fought once before. What's the big deal? You know, you're going to have the YouTube guys. You're going to have the YouTube guys freaking fighting. No, but this time it's different. This time it's way different. Because KSI and Logan Paul, the rematch, is being promoted by Matchroom Boxing. Most importantly, Logan Paul and KSI 2 is being promoted by Eddie Hearn. Fucking Eddie Hearn is promoting this fight. And I have audio we'll get to in a bit. He's promoting this fight. And his only caveat was, I will help you sell out arena in Los Angeles. I will help you with the huge stage and platform for you guys to fight. But you have to take off the head guard. You have to switch the rules, and we're going to make this shit a professional boxing fight affair. This is not an amateur fight. It's a professional boxing fight, which ups the ante because now when they're fighting without headgear and they're fighting with different rules, different types of gloves, the fucking danger's there now. The potential danger to get seriously hurt is there now. And, you know, it makes it a little bit more exciting. Personally, do I like it or do I not like it? I mean, I guess I wouldn't mind it if they were at the bottom of the card, not above all these other fighters. Because from what I was reading, it's like, I think they're saying Devin Haney is going to be on the undercard. Here, let me Google this because some of the shit I was reading was weird. It's like these guys are headlining over some real professional boxers. Logan Paul, KSI 2 undercard. Let's see what they give me here. All these freaking YouTube videos, man. I want an article. Let's see if fucking the Mirror in the UK has this down. God, they're so spammy. Look at all these freaking ads and shit. Even a little survey that I have to click skip just to get to the freaking undercard. Let's see here. What time is the fight? Will the stream? What happened in the first fight? They're going through the whole thing. They're telling the story. Who is on the undercard? Okay, here we go. So we don't know exactly who's on the undercard yet, but there's two fighters that are going to be on it. They just don't know who they're fighting yet. And this is what I kind of have a problem with. KSI and Logan Paul should be at the bottom of this card and still given a chance, but at the bottom of this card. Instead, we have Devin Haney under this card, and we have this one I don't even understand, Billy Joe Saunders at the bottom of this card. It's kind of a slap in the face, in my opinion. It's very weird. It's very weird how you would do that, but I mean, what can you say? This past weekend, before the Tyson Fury fight and before all the boxing and all the MMA, they had a press conference, Logan Paul and KSI 2, and I'm not going to lie, I'm eventually going to watch it. I haven't watched it all yet. Maybe I'll get some clips for the show here. I'll get one of my staff members to get some clips for the show here. But I saw maybe a good 30 seconds of it just to see what the ambiance of the place was, what the environment was like, and quite frankly, it was really packed. It was packed. For a press conference, it was packed and it was loud, super loud. The fans were incredibly into it. There was only one difference I noticed. One huge fucking difference. Usually at these press conferences, when it is packed and when the crowd is into it, it's usually a bunch of drunk men or sober men who are screaming with gutturals, who just are screaming with passion. And when I watched those 30-second clip, by the way, so I'm just letting everybody know it was a 30-second clip, the people who were yelling and screaming were teenagers. They were like 12. The crowd didn't sound like, yeah. The crowd sounded like, yay, yay. And that was very weird to me. It was incredibly weird. And during that 30-second clip, I saw a quick little confrontation with Logan Paul and KSI. You know, they talk shit with each other. That's what the press conferences are about. And like I said, that little clip, which I'm going to watch the whole thing, but that little clip, it looks like they were trying way too hard. Way too hard. The shit they were saying did not sound creative at all. I don't know. I'll have to watch the whole thing before I can really dissect it, but it's just very weird. I don't mind them being on professional boxing cards if they don't want to do amateur anymore. I mean, Logan Paul trains, and he trains hard. He's obviously in shape. Same with KSI. They put in the work. It's not like they're going in there just as, I hate to say it, but fucking, who'd Kimbo Slice fight that one time? Dada 5000. It's not like Dada 5000 is going in there. These guys are in actual shape. They're in fighting shape. They're not elite level fighters, obviously. They're kind of journeymen. But at the same time, they show a little bit of respect to the sport. I just wish they wouldn't be so high up the card. So after that fight was announced, Eddie Hearn, probably started getting death threats. And Eddie Hearn explained the situation. Eddie Hearn explained the reason why he thought this was a good idea. And I have the audio here to show you. Just give me a little bit of bring it up here. Here we go.
I'd be worried that I'd stop breathing. So with KSI and Logan Paul, it's really quite simple. The first fight come around, and I thought, what is this?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my whole computer just crashed. Oh my God. Right as I was getting to the Eddie Hearn fucking press conference, my computer crashes. And here's what it says. A big giant blue screen popped up and it says, your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. We're just collecting some error info and then we'll restart for you. Thanks a lot, Windows. That's exactly what I needed for this fucking podcast. Thankfully, I do have some notes on my phone. I don't have the audio that I would like, so sorry about that. But I do have notes. So let me pull this up. As a matter of fact, we're still going to play that audio. However, it's going to have to be on another podcast. I can't believe this shit did this. So, we're going to do this KSI Logan Paul 2 talk. We're going to keep it on for the next podcast. And there is no I'm going to snap boxing edition. And I'm going to give you a match to watch, and that's Canelo versus Erislandy Lara from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Paradise, Nevada. I just want everybody to watch that one, and I want you to grab a piece of paper, write numbers 1 through 12 on that thing, and I want you to score it as best you can and actually pay attention. If you have to turn down the volume, then do it. But actually pay attention and try to score it. Because I sat down and watched it about a good 2 or 3 times, and for the life of me, I swear I had Lara winning. And I'm a huge Canelo fan. I think Canelo's great. But it felt like Lara was winning, and it felt like Lara won. So that's the fight. Match to watch, Canelo versus Erislandy Lara, MGM Grand Garden Arena in Paradise, Nevada. So now we go to the wacky world of professional wrestling. Not too wacky. This professional segment is going to be a little short just for the simple fact that the computer just crashed, the giant blue screen, and I'm sitting here staring at it as it's staring back at me. I had to shut it off. However, here's one thing that I was hearing about recently that happened. A referee for Pro Wrestling Rev, or Rev Pro Wrestling's, a referee for a company in the UK got completely obliterated by a wrestler named Josh Bodom. And by obliterated, I mean he got taken advantage of, as is what everybody says. It was fucked up. There's no doubt about that. Josh Bodom for sure took liberties, it seemed like. And that was wrong. It was wrong of him to do that. Whether the ref made a mistake or not, it was wrong of his ass to do that. Did he take advantage of the referee? In my opinion, yes. And to be quite frank, he probably took liberties because for some reason in his fucking markish head, he thinks that that's how you treat someone when they make a mistake in the ring. Probably because he read it in some wrestling autobiography and he thinks he now knows how to act like a professional. Probably hung around his buddies, slithered his way into certain locker rooms, and now he thinks he knows professional wrestling. And he probably read in some book somewhere that, yeah, if the referee fucks up, you beat his ass to show him. If your opponent fucks up, you beat his ass and you show him. But he's an idiot, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's very fucking obvious. He's a douchebag. There's no doubt about that. But then just like in professional wrestling, things take a swerve. And I moosey my way onto Twitter, and I see the ref start talking about the situation. And it seems like he's really emotionally distraught. And I get it. I understand. The ref says he's taking time off. He might not come back due to physical injuries, which, by the way, is fucking goddamn horrible if that is the case, if his physical injuries are that bad. And then he talks about being emotionally scarred. And I understand if that emotionally scarred him. I get it. However, this is where things get fucked up. And this is where I'm going to come out looking like the bad guy, but I'm not trying to be the bad guy. If that incident emotionally scarred him to the point where he's going to quit the professional wrestling business, and he's so emotionally scarred to where he can't ref another match and step in between those ropes, then I'm sorry, but you're in the wrong business. I mean, what the fuck? It's professional wrestling. This is not a safe space. You know, and I'm not trying to blame him because it wasn't his fault, but goddamn, that's being overly sensitive. If that makes you want to quit the business, what the hell are you going to do when you get to the WWE and worse shit happens? Worse shit happens because it's the big leagues, not an indie in the UK. Then someone mentions on his Twitter that the reason why he botched the spot and got his ass beat is because he's not trained, which is false because he's obviously trained. Rev Pro isn't some backyard company. But once again, here's what I don't understand. When you train, you also have to kind of learn how to defend yourself a little bit. Just in case things go wrong, not only if you're a wrestler, but if you're a ref and you need to get some drunk fan out of the ring, or if you need to defend your own goddamn self from whatever is happening. And even if you don't know how to defend yourself, professional wrestling training is supposed to toughen you up a little bit. What kind of training are you doing to where an incident like that not only leaves you emotionally scarred, but to the point where you don't know what to do, where you sit there frozen? It makes you wonder who trained him. That's all I really have to say about that. It makes you wonder who trained him. Because when I got trained, we got toughened up a little bit. To where if an incident like that happened, would it have sucked? Yes. Would your pride have been hurt? Yes. Would you have physically been hurt? Yeah. But you would have got over it. You would have been not physically tough to kind of handle it. It's a very weird situation to me because all the refs I knew were fucking tough. And I guarantee you most of the refs that I knew wouldn't have bitched about that. Weird situation, but it happened. And welcome to the Indies, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that's all for professional wrestling this week. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about this stupid computer crashing. I'm still sitting here staring at it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still sitting here staring at it, scared to death because I don't know if it crashed because it needs to be cleaned. I don't know if it crashed because it overheated. I don't know if it crashed because I no longer have a computer. And I'm going to have to get another one, which I have very little money to do. However, this is life. Adapt or die, motherfuckers. And we'll survive. We'll be here next time with another podcast. This has been Have Fun on the Indies. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook. Use the handle @HaveFunOTI, @HaveFunOTI. I'm your host, Abe. Have fun on the Indies.